The Penn Highland Cougar Band trip to the Mardi Gras for the 1973 Mardi Gras is upon us, and you're going to leave when? Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. from Chief Logan, is that right?
Right. The buses will be there at 6, and we'll be loading up and then moving out at 7.
Is that much of a job to load everything up?
Not really. We have plenty of chaperones to help, and the students know exactly what to do when the buses get there, so there's really... we anticipate no problem, let's put it that way.
So if nothing unforeseen turns up, you should be pulling away at 7 a.m.
Right on 7, right at 7.
Okay.
Exactly.
So you're leaving tomorrow, and the total amount of time you're going to spend in New Orleans is how long now?
Well, we'll be in New Orleans Friday afternoon at approximately 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, which will be 6:30 here, and we'll be there until Monday morning. And Monday morning we'll start back.
Now, maybe we could run down, starting at the beginning, and kind of go through first of all, the itinerary. Then we can skip around to some other topics concerning the trip itself and how the money came about and when you started planning. But what about your itinerary? Now, you're going to leave here, and maybe you could trace, without becoming too elaborate, the route. People listening in might be interested in how the buses are. First of all, how many buses are you taking?
We're taking 5 buses with chaperones and students, and another bus with boosters that are paying their own way. That'll take 39 people with us. And everything is set up as to lodgings and meals and everything on the trip there and back and while we're there. And like we talked a few minutes ago, we will be leaving Chief Logan at 7 in the morning. And we'll have box lunches, which a few of the concerns in town have been gracious enough to donate, really, to us, which we felt was pretty great. And we'll be stopping then for supper in Bristol, Virginia, going down 81. And we have to change bus drivers in Knoxville. It's an ICC regulation on the amount of time a bus driver can drive. And we'll be changing bus drivers in Knoxville. And at midnight, we should be then in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And we'll have a little stop at a local hamburger place, which sounds great. I think we have one here in town,
That's
too.
all right. You can mention the name.
And then we have breakfast in Laurel, Mississippi, which will be about a 4-hour stop to get off the buses and stretch the legs a little bit and have breakfast and a rehearsal. And
you're going to have band rehearsal.
You're darn right.
At what time?
Probably around 9:30 in the morning.
That'll be 9:30
till about 11.
Friday morning.
Right. And then we'll have lunch there, and we're 3 hours out of New Orleans in Laurel. So then we'll head into New Orleans, trying to miss some of the rush hour traffic. And we're going to come in on Interstate 10 there and go over the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway. We won't stay on 10 all the way. We'll take a little town called Slidell and then sort of go across this gigantic 25-mile lake to go into New Orleans. And we'll be there then marching in 2 parades, the Crew of Endymion on Saturday. And that parade starts at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. And on Sunday, the big Mid-City Parade, which begins at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, an afternoon parade. And Monday morning we'll load the buses, or Sunday night we'll load the buses, and Monday morning, approximately 8 o'clock in the morning, we'll head back. And coming back, we'll take a little lunch stop back in Laurel. The people in Laurel are fantastic to us. They're just great people. And
this is Mississippi, right?
Yes, and they treat us royally down there. So we're going to stop there for lunch, and coming back then, our dinner will be in Chattanooga, where we'll be stopping at an Albert Pick there, and the manager there, Mr. Knapp, is a friend from Pittsburgh, so I'll get to see him. I haven't seen him for a while.
A lot of side benefits, Andy.
Oh, yes, and then coming back, then we'll be in Knoxville for lunch on Tuesday, and staying overnight at Roanoke, Virginia, and then our last stop will be lunch on Wednesday, the 7th, and we'll have that in Hagerstown, Maryland. And then we'll be home approximately 5:30 at Chief Logan, Wednesday afternoon.
So it's a pretty brief thumbnail sketch of the itinerary. When you're in New Orleans at the Mardi Gras, the most important parade you told me a little while ago that the Penn Highlands Band will be participating in will be the parade on Sunday.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that.
2 years ago we went down. And we were invited, naturally. You just don't go to these things on a spur-of-the-moment thought. You get an invitation and check it out and do all kind of things and meet a certain criteria that they have for these bands coming down. So we were down 2 years ago. We marched in February 2 years ago, 71. and we were in the parades in February. Now, this year, 73, we're in the two parades that are almost before Ash Wednesday. The last parade is, of course, the Rex Parade, and that is Tuesday night. And then Ash Wednesday being starting, everything closes down at midnight, and we go into the Lenten season. So we're in the very important ones. The Mid-City Parade is a sort of a competition parade for for sort of what they call the Best Band in Dixie contest. Being from Pennsylvania, I don't know how that'll affect us or not.
What areas does the Mardi Gras committee or whoever is responsible for inviting bands, what areas do they draw bands from?
They draw
mostly.
They draw a few from the south, but mostly they're drawing bands from the west. 2 years ago, there was a band from Oklahoma there, and one from Texas, which is just a neighbor. But out west, they seem to draw pretty well. Last year, also, the York band went from York, Pennsylvania. They were down. We didn't go last year. We were invited to go, but we felt we couldn't swing it last year, and we didn't even attempt to go. Didn't even publicize it.
Now, what specifically, when you're in competition down there, what do the judges, first of all, maybe you could explain a little bit about the composition of the judges, or who is responsible for judging the bands or making the awards, and it might seem like a trite question, but when judges look at bands, do they always look for the same things? I mean, the average person says a band is a band is a band, and the only thing we can judge a band on is how they sound and what they look like. I mean, is there more to judging, and are they the same as judges all over when they look at bands, or what? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
The parade chairmen that run the parades down there are responsible for the judging, and every parade that we have ever been in, there have been different judges. There are a few associations. One is the American Judging Association, and these are probably the most equitable and most fair. And a lot of the judges are just local band directors or local judges and lawyers and things like this that are on the parade committees, and they look to the music, how well your music is received, and how well you do play it, and how well you march. And also in this Mid-City Parade, they have the U.S. Navy pulling an inspection before the parade as to cleanliness of uniforms and bearing and things like this.
They do that?
Right.
That's surprising. I would not have thought you would get involved in any kind of an inspection.
Uniforms and the instruments must be clean too. They might take an instrument out of the student's hand and look down it to see if there's any potatoes growing in the horn or something like this.
That's a little taste of the military right there.
Right.
Yeah, some of the guys will know what they're in store for when they go in the military.
That's for sure.
How many people are you taking down as far as the students in the band, and tell us a little bit about chaperones? How many people are you taking total?
Well, besides the 39 boosters that are paying their own way, we have 165 members of the band as majorettes, color guard, and playing members, and this is the largest band we've had in 3 years here. And along with this, we're taking approximately 42 directors and chaperones. Now, the chaperones are picked by our president of the band boosters, Mr. Norman Wagner. I keep out of it as much as possible. I'd rather deal with the students and the parents at times. And Mr. Wagner picks them on the merit basis on how much work and how much time they have spent working with the Penn Highlands Band Boosters. So it's all picked on how much they've worked during football games and our projects, our various projects during the year. And these people are the ones that are asked first to be chaperones. And then we just go down the list until, we get as many chaperones as we feel we need. Now, on this trip, we're taking large buses. We're taking 5 buses for the band and chaperones because of the restroom facilities. And we had to take a few more chaperones than we usually take. But the buses sort of dictated this to us very, very readily. It's the same price whether we fill the bus or whether we don't. So we decided to take a few more chaperones.
Let me just interrupt here for a minute and remind our listeners and our callers that if there are any questions that you would like to ask of Mr. Wasilko, our telephone lines are open at 248-6757 and 248-6758. If anyone has any comments to make along the lines of wishing the band good luck or any questions at all, Mike will be here until 4:30 on the program. So our telephone lines are open. If you have anything you would like to say concerning the trip, or as I said, any questions that you might have in regards to the Penn Highlands Cougar Marching Band going down to New Orleans and participating, feel free to call us at 248-6757 and 248-6758. And Mike and I are just kind of informally sitting here and chewing the fat about the trip. Going back just a little bit, Mike, how long ago did you actually receive the invitation? And I know you did mention that before. That's something I was going to ask you. This whole deal is set up on an invitation basis only. You just don't say, well, let's raise some money and go. How long ago did you receive the invitation, and how much work has gone into this whole thing in getting ready to go?
We received the invitation from the parade chairman down there in May, this past May, and we thought at great length and at great depth about the possibilities of going. This will be the last year for the band, naturally, and we would like to show the students, and who have worked so hard for the past 3 years, especially the seniors and now our juniors and sophomores, the band boosters would really like to show their respect and give the students something that they really appreciate, although also a lot of work involved in it too. Now, we received the invitation in May. We just don't go to any parade. We get our invitations, and I turned down quite a few a year. Probably about 10 or 12 invitations to parades we turned down a year. This one we thought about for quite a long time, and we finally decided that we would take it on and see if we could make it. A lot of people, of course, doubted that we could make it with the financial aspects our community is facing and things like this. And we started really the beginning of November to raise the amount of money needed, and we have accomplished our goal.
Let's talk about that money in just a moment. I think we have a phone call here. This is Public Opinion. You're on the air.
Dale,
Yes.
this is Janet. The gentleman you're talking with, are we going to be able to see the Cougar Band on television or hear it on radio?
Well, I'll let Mr. Wasilko answer the question about television, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do as far as radio is concerned.
All right.
We anticipated taking the ITV unit from the school district. The parades are broadcast on TV live, and they're also taped, but they're only broadcast throughout the South. You will probably not be able to get it up here unless the national TV does show parts of it, which we are hoping. We cannot take the ITV equipment. We have just one technician there at the administration building, and he was so busy last week with getting condensation in the TV lines, and he cannot possibly be gone for 5 school days, and something happened to the ITV unit. We are taking a 16mm camera down with us and a lot of stills, and we're going to try to do the best we can with that. Also, there will be movies taken and tapes taken down there by the local TV stations, and we're going to try to get copies of them to bring up here and see what we can do with them.
Well, I wondered because I've supported them, and I wish them the best of luck. But I would like to enjoy seeing them down there.
Right, I know. Everybody really would. Like I said, we're going to try to take some film and things like this on our own, and then bring it back up here and see what we can do with it, either on a cable system or on our ITV from the school district.
All right, and I thank you very kindly.
Thank you for calling.
Bye.
Here we are at the Indian Valley Phillipsburg Osceola game, where I'm interviewing Mr. Michael Wasilko, band director of Indian Valley High School.
Hi.
Mr. Wasilko?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How did you have any trouble getting the bands together, or just any
No trouble at all. Drummers couldn't hold a beat in the bucket, but we got Mr. Roman. We call him Little Hitler. We got Little Hitler to come and kill them, and they're fine now.
What do you think of your assistant director, Mr. Douglas Jordan?
I think he's a very capable young man, and anybody that comes to our band and goes to music school is always a good director once they graduate.
What?
So here we are. Got any other questions?
Trying to
We have this
think.
guy I really like. He's an Italian drummer. I'm not sure what he looks like, though. I'm not sure what he looks like. He's an Italian drummer, and all my friends in Pittsburgh were Italian, and I really love this guy so much that I ride his butt all the time.
He sounds like a pretty nice guy if he's
Yeah,
Italian.
he's a nice guy. He's a real nice guy. He's a good guy.
I forget what I was going to ask now.
By the way, there's Mr. Jordan now. See, Mr. Jordan is
Mr.
very
Jordan.
capable. Does a
Yes.
great job.
I spoke to some of the other band members, and they're pleased with yourself and Mr. Jordan.
No,
the
we have
assistant,
fun. You
and-
got to have fun doing it. You
yes.
got to be half crazy like you are.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, give us some of your common sayings like dirt bag, scumbag.
Oh, scum. Well, I do that lovingly. You know, I wouldn't call anybody a dirtbag I didn't know or love, because I'd probably get decked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I love somebody, I call, hey, you dirtbag, just as friendliness, you know.
Yeah,
So I do that.
a lot of band members, they enjoy that.
Yeah,
It breaks
well,
the monotony of the
yeah.
practice.
Yeah, some of them really are real dirtbags, but they don't know the difference, so we don't tell them, you know.
Yeah, it's all right.
And there's one other group of people, hopefully now in the room, who I would like to former directors could work their way forward. Because my students, if they don't know you, would like, I've been talking about you guys for years, and none of it's true. I've only said nice things about you, Mike.
Wait till we tell them the truth.
Thank you for inviting me. This is a great honor and a great idea to have this finally. By the way, my alter ego Spike says hello.
And he didn't tell you who he is. This is Mr. Wasilko.
And I'm now a neighbor of Mickey Mouse. I live down there, so if anybody wants to come down and visit, come on down. I'll show you the area down there. And I've been down there for quite a while now, so having a good time and trying to stay vertical. So that's it. And I'm so glad you guys invited us. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to hear you guys start playing. Well, maybe no, I'm not so sure now. I'm not so sure now. I'm happy to see everybody, and it's a real honor. I try to remember everybody, and what's really neat is Lisa and a few other people a few years ago or a year ago got me hooked on Facebook. So now when I get on the computer, I check Facebook, and I know everybody where they are and what they're doing. So don't screw up. I know where you are. I'll find you. Thank you so much for inviting me.
You try hard. You did a good job, man. You did a fine job. I'm very proud of you. Very proud of you. There's a lot of bands that come up here, bigger than us, smaller than us. They travel further, and they never go home with anything. You've been up here 2 years in a row, man, and you've done something twice. So that's not a bad track record. In fact, this time you got 2 of them, not just 1 of them. So that's not bad at all. That's not bad. The other band is bigger, or not as big. It's all boys and all brass, and they're good. Simple as that. Simple as that. They're very good. So, man, I wouldn't feel bad about getting beat by them. No way. They're still going to have a victory celebration. They're not a college band, they're high school band. So, man, the judges weren't crooked. The judges weren't crooked. We didn't lose because we started the show a little further down, because if we would have started in front of the judges' stand, we would have plowed right into the judges' stand. We know we would have. Okay? They didn't take off up to see the judging sheets, but maybe they took off maybe for a slight bow in it or something like that. You never know. Could be a million things. So don't even worry about it. We're very proud of you, man. At least you brought 2 more trophies back, man. Real proud of you. Very good. Now, tonight, we have dinner at Tulane. Hey, we spent $3.5 for steak dinner. You're going to eat it if I just shove it down every one of your throats. Don't eat 4 sandwiches, please. Don't eat 4 sandwiches. Eat 1. Eat 1. We'll give the rest back. It'll be very good.
Hey, Mike.
Yes.
Where's the first aid kit? You know.
We need a first aid kit handy if anybody has one. Okay? If anybody has one, we need a first aid kit. Now we're going to go up and pick up that my clipboard that we left back there somewhere if we can find it, which has everything on we're supposed to be and do. And then We're going to go to Tulane. We're going to eat dinner, and we're going to go back, man. You're going to swim and do all that kind of stuff. Relax, man. We got a nice leisurely 2 days back. By the way, your behavior has been almost close to excellent. Almost close to excellent. Your behavior has been tremendous, man. I'm very proud of you. Your behavior has been very good. We have those other 2 bands there that act like animals. Just remember, Cougar Band, we can dress you up and we can take you somewhere. Okay, thank you very much.
I get myself straightened out and start playing that.